Currently, it's January 4th, 2013, and we are at Chicago Military Academy. Um, I am Cadet Captain Stephanie Martinez, and I am working with the Veterans History Project Student Edition associated with the Chicago Military Academy and Free Spirit Media. We will be interviewing Folleh Tamba. And Folleh, when's your birthday?
My birthday is April 25th, 1977.
Okay, and can you go ahead and spell out your name for me?
My name is Folleh Tamba, Folleh, Tamba, Tamba, Tamba.
Okay, and we have
Cristiano, Preston,
Daniel.
Deja.
and Folleh, what war and branch did you serve in?
Well, I served in the United States Marine Corps, and I was in the Iraq War, the current conflict that we have right now, the global war on terror.
And what was your rank?
I'm a sergeant, E5.
And where did you serve? You said.
I served in Iraq first in 2004 to 5. Then I went back to Iraq again. I served another tour two tours in the Pacific, and then one in Africa, and then one in Afghanistan.
And were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, I actually enlisted. I was not drafted.
You enlisted, and why did you join?
Well, it's a long story why I enlisted. As you can hear, I have a distinct accent. Well, when I was a little boy growing up in West Africa, I went through a civil war in Liberia, which is on the part of West Africa. And during that time, the Marines showed up in Liberia. They were completely destabilized, and they established a condition for a peaceful and democratic government. So as a child then, I knew what it was, and that's the first time I saw a U.S. Marine. So when I saw that, somewhere in the back of my mind, I must have retained that information. So when 9/11 happened, I don't think I would have been alive. I personally don't think I would have been alive as a Marine not intervened into that war and stop it. I think when 9/11 happened, it was my opportunity and chance to enlist and go do something. Almost like you own a debt that you have to repay, and that's why I enlisted.
And where were you living at the time?
When I enlisted,
Mm-hmm.
when I enlisted at the time, I was living in Chicago.
And why did you pick to be in the Marines?
You hear that question many times. Why do you choose to join the Marine Corps? Well, in America, they tell you that the Marine Corps is the toughest branch there is. And if you're going to be the best, Marines are arrogant and cocky. You always say, we're the best, we're the best. Well, if you want to be the best at something, you choose the toughest branch. And I wanted to be an infantryman, meaning I wanted to be the guy that carried a gun, that actually squeezed the trigger. So the Marine Corps was going to give me that route. Like I said, I have a debt which I own the American people in the Marine Corps. I wanted to repay that debt. So putting my own life in harm's way, for me, it was repaying that debt. So that's why I chose the Marine Corps. I didn't want anything easy.
And what about your experiences at boot camp as a Marine?
My boot camp experience, my God, that was 10 years ago. Well, when I went to boot camp, I was the oldest recruit in boot camp. I was about 25 years old. I must have had a college degree then. So it's not your normal experience wherein you are 17, you are 18. So I was already physically in shape, but I had to prove to some extent I wanted to graduate number one, or I wanted to graduate to be the fastest runner. So it was at first a little bit difficult. But I come from a very stern home wherein my family, they have a very structure when it comes to discipline. So boot camp was not difficult mentally, non-physically. You're just getting used to the warrior culture that they have in boot camp. Like for example, you cannot call ground anymore. It's a deck, like you're on a ship. You can call the war a bulkhead. So it's just getting used to those linguistic that made boot camp a little bit difficult.
And do you remember any instructors?
My God, I said that was like 10 years ago. I don't personally remember any instructor. I remember their faces, but not the name. The only thing I remember was my school of infantry. The instructor I remember the most there was this after boot camp. Well, when you go to boot camp, it's a 3-month long training. And then from there you have your MOS school, which is your military occupation specialist. That's what the school is. That's where you learn your job. When I went to school of infantry, that was in California, San Diego. I met, the name is familiar. It's like, well, he's now Gunnery Sergeant Martinez. He was a PT stud. I mean, he was like the Marine that any Marine want to be. I mean, this guy was physical. Like, he would run 3 miles with a gas mask on. And a gas mask constricts you from breathing, literally. And you run 3 miles in 16 minutes. But he told us that we're getting ready to go to war. He goes like, the only thing that you're going to learn now is what I teach you. And if you listen to what I teach you, you will survive. So I'm like, maybe you would not be going to war. Maybe this is just, But I listened. My first deployment, it was hell. But I came back alive in one piece. And I still remember up to this day, Sergeant Martinez. And, well, he's not going to reach Sergeant Martinez. But to make it all worse, my unit that was in a Fox company in Wisconsin, he was a company gunnery sergeant there. So when I became sergeant, guess who's promoted me? He was there. He paid me sergeant. And for me, that was the most proudest moment of my life.
And how did you get through all the training that you had at boot camp? Like,
well, what you do is you tell yourself, look, I'm no longer back at home. How do you get through the training at boot camp? Okay, you're no longer back in Chicago. You're not in a complete different environment. You try to stay positive because the drill instructors will motivate you. They will, how do you call it? They will motivate you to succeed, basically. It's not going to be easy, but you have to understand you are there for a reason. Like for me, my debt, which I own way back when I was in West Africa, I know this is part of the process to repaying that debt which I own. And so boot camp for me was just another, okay, this is the stage that I need to get to so I can become a Marine, so I can pay back that debt which I think I own. People say, but you don't owe us anything at all. No, I do. I keep saying if the Marine did not intervene, I have a lot of friends that lost their life in West Africa. So for me, boot camp was just, okay, this is a phase one. You have to pay attention. You have to learn. And we are at war while you're in boot camp. So knowing that, I think it helped my platoon mate to be more motivated because you're going to go to war.
And do you remember what it was like arriving at
Yes, I remember what it was like arriving at MCRD, San Diego, California. I remember it up to this day. We got there 9 a.m. in the morning. And I was like, how come they can't come and get us right now because it's 9 a.m. in the morning? But they waited. We sat the USO, eating candy, munching on food that were around, watching TV, and then all of a sudden it got dark. I remember it was 9:30 p.m. It got dark, basically. And all of a sudden the door flung open. You got drill instructors, they have the campaign cover, the belt. I'm like, where are the recruit? Or the drill instructor frog voice. I had to join the Marine Corps. So you stood up, like, get on my bus right now. So we're like, oh my God. And then everyone is yelling. We are running into each other back and forth, literally. We got on the bus, we sat on the bus, and then count off how many of us, well, if you're not here, you're UA, and right now you have signed a contract to the whole idea. You're like, this is scary. And I'm a grown man, I'm like, this is intense. So we got on that bus. I remember up to this day, they made us bend our head on our knee as they drove us to the base where we're going to get trained. So you don't see around you and it's dark. I still remember up to this day.
And what about some experiences that you had, like meeting new people as you enlisted and going on that bus?
When I enlisted in the Marine Corps, the experience that I had was I met people from all over America. I've never listened to country music before. And then all of a sudden someone would be in a squad bay, they would whisper God Brooks. Like, who is God Brooks? It's like, you don't know who God Brooks is? They added that you should know who God Brooks. I'm like, no, I don't know who God Brooks is. So you met different people. And I learned in the Marine Corps, right the moment we got to boot camp, that your skin color did not matter. Whether you were Hispanic, you were black, you were Jew, it didn't matter at all. You were all one. You were all recruit. You were all maggot of the earth, physically. So you have to work together as a team to graduate from boot camp. And that's one of the most valuable things I took away from boot camp.
And were there any higher ranks that
It's okay, you're doing good.
sorry. Or were you awarded any medals as soon as
In boot camp, when you graduated, you got the National Defense Ribbon. And National Defense, it's just a ribbon or medal, basically. That medal says that, you join the military in a time of war. So you get that automatically, So no, I graduated, I had the most amount of pull-ups. Because the Marine Corps, we pride ourselves in, you want me to pause? Okay. Because in boot camp, physical fitness is the biggest thing in boot camp. I went from doing, 6 pull-ups to graduating doing 76 pull-ups. You know, I went from running, how do you call it, 3 miles in 25 minutes to graduating to running 3 miles in 18 minutes flat or 1750. I mean, my lungs felt alive. I don't know what to tell you, you know. So, and every night you want to work at the physical fitness because Marines were physical, you know. So graduating like that, I mean, I gained about maybe 20 pounds of muscle just from all the run around, you know. So I remember that.
And you said you were already fit when you joined the Navy?
I was already fit, but not as Marine Corps fit. It's a different kind of fitness.
And knowing since I'm in an ROTC school, I have heard people say that Marines is the hardest one. And
Yeah.
what about the other the other branches that there are out there? What are your opinions on that?
Oh, the other branches. Currently, right now, after 10 years in the Marine Corps, I'm serving the Army right now. You know, the other branches have their, I mean, they have what makes them what they are. Like the Army is the largest branch. My sister is in the Air Force. She's now in Korea. I have 2 siblings actually serve in the Army. You know, they all have the different mission. The Marine Corps, we understand we're the 911 force of the world. We are the quick reaction force. To America need us to be somewhere at sometimes, and we're the smallest branch. You know, so basically, but the idea is we have honor, courage, and commitment. We have a core of honor which we hold ourselves to. I would not feel myself as a Marine, and nor would I feel the man which I lead in combat. So basically, I have to hold myself accountable. You know, and I should know what my weaknesses are and seek improvement. You know, just how I hold the Marine next to me accountable. So every branch have their, you know, it's all about inner rally, but every branch have their mission statement. You know, but they've always accomplished their missions.
And how did you stay in touch with your family?
That was one of the most difficult things to do. In boot camp, it's a lot easier because they'll make you write letters. You know, then you write it at home, and then the letter will come back to you. That's how you kept in touch. But once you went to Iraq, I remember my first deployment. We're in a place where we have no light, because I'm an infantryman now. There's no air conditioning. You have no light. Well, we can write a letter, but the letter would take about 3 to 4 months to get to Chicago. You know, so you just wrote, you go like, hey, I'm alive. Everything is going good. You know, then you mail it. You hear back from them 3 months later. You're just like, did you just get my letter? Well, we didn't have computers, so that's how I kept in touch my first tour of duty.
And what about the foods? What was that like?
The food, we ate MRE. It's a meal ready to eat. It comes in a package. You can store this thing for about 10 to 20 years, and they will not decompose. You know, I mean, if you're been in ROTC, you're very familiar with MRE. The more you eat this thing, the more constipated you get. But constipation was good in combat because if you get shot at, so at least because your body get into a fearful mode when you get shot in combat. Because you're constipated, so you will not lose your bowel movement. That's a plus. That's a positive side. But the food, I mean, the food was horrible. You know, it doesn't taste like, it tastes generic, but it had about 3,000 calories in each meal in each package. So you ate 3 packages, that's like 9,000 calories. And you need all that calorie in you because it's about 140 degrees. You have your flak, your helmet, all your gear on, and you are marching around maybe 70, 60 miles a day plus 105-pound gear on you. You will burn those calories.
And did you feel any pressure or stress while you were there?
In combat, you're gonna feel pressure, but as Marines, again, what you learn is you learn to understand how the enemy is gonna react or how they're gonna engage you, and how you fall back on your training. We do a lot of remedial action. We do a lot of practice, drill and drill and drill and drill. As time goes on, you get in a firefight, you think, but you react as if you've been trained. Your body go into, they call it muscle memory. I don't think our muscle have memory, or our mind has memory, but you fall back into your training. And so there are a lot of stressful situations, but you have been trained to deal with it. You know, and you're not there alone. You know, there are people all around you, so you're in the same trouble together. So at least, you know, you can rely on your friend, the guy next to you, behind you, he got your cover.
And where?
Pause.
And how did you and your buddies keep yourself entertained?
When you are deployed overseas, you find you have patrol like morning, night, day, afternoon. Well, someone in America always send us some sort of package. It could be a deck of cards or something, because we don't have. Somebody got a shortwave radio, and we'll all like put a shortwave radio on, and we'll huddle towards it and go like, what's going on? What's going on in the world today? But we stay entertained because somebody that care about their family or their loved ones or the USO, they will send us like bunch of playing cards or things that that reminds you back at home of beef jerky, things like that. So we play games. We get like a football or baseball. We throw it around for a while, but then we always gotta go back to our mission. We gotta go on patrol. So that's how we kept each other's spirit up.
And did you guys pull any pranks on each other? Something that.
Oh, all the time. I mean, well, we knew that we have to have our flag. One of the pranks we always point each other was this. This is cruel, Marine Corps joke. We knew that, well, if you're a quick reaction team, well, I mean that you have to always be ready with your flag and your helmet ready, so in case they say, hey, you got to go now, so you can back up the squad that was out if they were in a firefight. Sometimes we would tie our body boot together to the next boot because they would sleep on their rack with their boot on, so their feet is stretched out, and so we'd be like, we got a mission, and they jump down and fall because their boot are tied together. But yeah, we did things like that. I mean, it always come back to bite you in the ass though, because guess what? They would do it to you the next time.
And did you carry anything special for good luck while you were in combat?
Yes. One of the Iraqi gave me, how do you call it? It's not a rosary. It's like I can't even pronounce it. When you're a Muslim, they have this how do you call it? For Catholic, it's a rosary, but for Muslim, it's like a bead that come with a chain. Apparently, he gave me this souvenir. I don't know why he gave it to me for. Maybe he thought I could be converted to Muslim. So I always carry my packet, and then my mother sent me a cross. She said, "Oh, folleh, whenever things get hard, you should always, always remember that Jesus loves you and God is gonna be there for you. I'm praying for you, so keep it in your pocket." And then my one of my commander because we Marines don't have any embroidery on our uniform. We don't have American flag. We just have our EGM. So our platoon commander at the time, then he was Captain Rosales. He gave us an American flag. He said, "Well, put that in your left breast pocket because that's where your heart is." He said, "When everything gets rough, when you realize, why am I doing this, or your friends are getting hurt, look at it sometimes and say, this is what you are doing it for, because it will help you go through the tougher days. That things they get tough, and if you look at it, you're like, okay, well, I'm doing it for something bigger than myself. It helps us deal with the tough times."
And then did you have any photographs that your mother sent you other than the rosary or the cross?
I didn't bring those for the interview, but I still have the Bible which she gave me. There was one, I even have a Bible verse that she cut out. It says, "Be patient and be humble." I think it came from a book of Ephesians, and the light of God will always guide you. I'm just paraphrasing it because I don't know verbatimly what it was on it, but I just know it said, "Be patient." A lot of time you are in combat, time is wasting away. So I guess being patient is one of those virtues you must have, I guess, to survive that environment. But I still have all the souvenirs up to this day that friends sent me, while I was deployed.
And looking at those now in present day, what do you feel like when you're looking at them?
When I look at them now, they remind me of certain environment that I was in, but that someone at home actually cared about my well-being. That I was doing something not just for myself, but for people at home also. And that's what it reminds me of.
Do you recall when your service ended?
My service ended. You mean the whole tour, or because I've been in for 10 years now. My service ended this May, with the Marine Corps, May 15, 2012. That was last year. And I went right back and enlisted in the Army Reserve. Now I'm in the Army Reserve. I drew 1 weekend a month and 2 weekends in a year. I don't know if I could just walk out from the military. It's part of my well-being now. It's part of my psychic, so I always like to be part of it. So I think my service will always continue. Even I'm sitting here now talking to you as a veteran. Once you're a veteran, your service will always continue. I don't think it ever end. There's no such thing as there is not, once a Marine will always be a Marine. You probably have heard that saying before. There's no former Marine,
And leaving the Marines, did you receive any medals or any awards in particular?
Yes. Well, I got the Purple Heart. This was, you, nobody wants this medal. It's one of those medals you're just like, well, you get it either when you're killed or you're wounded. We call it the enemy, we Marines, we have a crude sense of humor. We call it the enemy marksmanship badge, but it means more than that. General George Washington in the American Revolution founded this medal. And at the time he founded it, it stood for something else. It was given for bravery and sacrifice. But as time went on, that's where you have the general, that's his image on it. As time went on, they move it towards when if you were wounded or you were killed in action, you get those. And I know a lot of Marines that didn't come back home that I served with personally who also have this. So that's one of the most one I got, and I keep it close to my heart. It reminds me of some of the tough time in my life or some of the friends I've served with.
Would you feel comfortable sharing the story of why you got the Purple Heart?
Yes, I would tell you. Well, okay.
Give me a second. Let me just read this.
All right. Bring it down. Oh, crush. Okay. All right. So that way they know it's okay. That makes sense.
No, you're good.
Yeah, let me know if I need to slow down or,
Real quick, will we have this on pause?
Yes. You did. Action.
Well, yeah, rolling. Okay. How did I get the Purple Heart? Well, it's a medal that nobody wants. We had a mission. There's a town called, this is when Operation Phantom Fury was going on in 2004. We had a mission to go to a town called Yusufia. Well, Yusufia it was the insurgent stronghold. And a week before, we have gone and did reconnaissance, For some reason, no one shot at us. But you saw graffiti on the wall. It says down, down USA or die USMC. Somehow they know how to say US, which is United States Marine Corps. People were just staring at you. They didn't want you there. There was so much tension. You can feel it. You can literally feel the tension. It's just like you wave by and no one wave back at you. If the kids wave at you, their parents would smack them on the head. So we reconned the area and we went back home. Well, we went back to our 5, which is forward operating base. And then we got told that the police station that was there, because we needed Iraqi police to police Iraqi people. In order for us to leave, for the U.S. to leave Iraq, we need to have a strong Iraqi army and to have a strong Iraqi police force so they can, order. And, So we got told that the police station in that town got blown up. So we're supposed to go secure that police station. It's like, okay, mount our vehicles, took enough ammunition that we can, enough grenade. I always love grenades. It's a good tool. We get there. We see the whole place just like in Rebel. It was just, they have driven a vehicle car bomb into the police station, I think 2-3, and they blew the whole place to smithereens, basically. There was, you can see like the marks, there was blood all over the wall where people must have, got blown to pieces. So when we got there, we had a bunch of media among us, and they were just snapping, taking pictures. So we're told, one of my platoon sergeants came to me and said, hey, Sergeant Tama, why don't you watch the avenue of approach? I have the 240 machine gun. It's a 7.62 round machine gun. So we had a 360 security set. And then, but we didn't think in our mind, there's no way you can think that this is our 2 weeks in Iraq, 2 weeks in country, that someone would drive a car bomb at us. We're just like, okay, I'm just watching that alley in case something happened. So I went out. He told me to put a Quercetin wire so I can have a trickle line. Quercetin wire are like barbed wires that you put, how do you call it? What we did was, you have your Humvee right here, 300 meters out, you put a Quercetin wire. You put another one out. You created a zigzag so that way if there's a car coming at you, it can slow down so you can see inside of that vehicle as it's coming towards you. So as we are waiting, I'm facing my 3 o'clock. Freaking Lance Corporal Bajani, he's an E3 in the Marine Corps, is facing our 12 o'clock. And I heard his machine gun fire go off. Literally just a burst, like, and next thing I heard was just like the loudest explosion of my life. I felt as if I was floating in the air. But because I was in the air, I got thrown off my machine gun, and I remember hitting against a concrete structure somewhere, and then my light went out, meaning that everything went black. And then I came to, there was a bunch of dust cloud. This was like a 2 500-pound bomb in a vehicle that was driven at our pulse. He shot the driver, but the car stay came in. The car stay broke the perimeter and still blew up around us anyway. So we came to, I look, I'm like, oh, there goes my friends laying there. There goes people screaming. We had some Iraqi police and Iraqi soldiers with us. Someone that got their leg missing, their body part missing. So we started taking small and fire, meaning that now, because while we are pinned down, anyone can shoot at us. We're a free game. So we started getting our senses back together, engaging the enemy that was engaging us. And not just that, but going back and getting the surveillance. Because when we got there, a bunch of children came around the second time around because we have MRE. Kids were always hungry. So when they see us, they will come around because we don't like our MRE but that's all we have to give them. So they love the MRE because if you eat MRE every day, I'll go back to the story, you don't like it. But if it's your first time eating it, it's the most delicious thing you ever ate in your life. So to this kid, I guess it was delicious. But this kid got hurt in that car bomb in a attack. And then I went back to my machine gun because I'm like, okay, I'm laying there, I get up, I'm naked. Well, if you don't have your rifle, every Marine's a rifleman. I don't have my rifle, the machine gun I'm on is now, so I ran back to my Humvee. Apparently one of my Marine told me, he said when I was floating in the air, he can see the engine black of the car literally going over my head. He said if I was up a little bit, I would have been decapitated. So I literally just like, somehow the force just sent me back in a way that, I kept floating in air. I mean, I'm like, why am I not on the ground? So anyway, so we got back, we started returning fire, engaging the enemy, killing the enemy. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything here. But collecting our casualty. The most difficult thing for me was when we have to bring people into our CP, which is a casualty collection point, we have to pat them down to make sure they didn't have grenade or something that will cause us more harm. And some medic evacuating the Marines that got hurt. When I look, my whole arm bleeding, my knee bleeding. By that time, when Marines are hurt, I'm good, because I'm walking. I can stay fight. We need more manpower. But the guys that were unconscious is the guy that we need to get out there. So I was able to fight through it, and we got there for 7 nights and 7 days through that ordeal, wrap up my bandage. Up to this day, once in a while, when I sit there, you can see shrapnel coming out of my body because it heals and it pushes out. That's how I got the Purple Heart, and that was one of my first firefights in Iraq. Okay. Yeah. That's how I got that. That was the original one I was painting on my uniform, and then they gave me the whole. It comes with. Was that too fast, or you need me to?
Yeah, can you hold it?
Yeah, so that way you get the shot of it, so you're not. Yeah, I got that. We have a joke for it, we call it the enemy marksmanship badge, but it's just Marines being Marine. But it's George Washington made it, so it gotta be something great, It reminds me every day that, the debt that I say I own from the beginning. It reminds me that I paid that debt with my own tear, blood, and suffering. I paid that debt. So, and then you get this certificate. Hopefully, I'm not. Or it comes with the United States of America. To all who shall see this, this is like the citation award that you have, the data it was given to. So this is the original documentation that you have of it. Yeah.
Do you have any close relationships with some of your buddies that were with you in Iraq?
Oh yeah, when you have served with men in combat, you have seen each other like weakness. You have seen each other like fears. These people are forever your band of brothers. You can call someone and goes like, hey, I'm starting on the highway. They will come and get you on the highway because the camaraderie that you have found, I think the closeness of it, I could be wrong here, but I don't think I'll be ever close to my own blood brother as I'm close to the Marines that I've served in combat with. That closeness is as though I would easily give my life for him, and he would do the same thing for me. And they have proven it to me that they can do the same thing for me. So you keep that bond alive. Up to this day, I have a whole list of platoon rosters. We go to the guys that didn't make it back alive in a couple of our tours of duty, and that's the tragedy of war. But the guys that are around, we try to have we don't do barbecue because some of us don't like the smell of meat because it reminds us of burning flesh, So basically, but we come together once in a while, and I'm happy when I hear someone call me, hey, I just have a baby girl, because to me, they're living that life. They're living that life which it's worth fighting for, which they have fought for. Not just for themselves, but the Marines that didn't make it alive. So, yeah, we do keep in touch.
And going back to your times in Iraq, do you recall anybody having, someone that lost their lives and leaving someone behind?
Yes, I remember. I remember Marines that leave someone like a family member behind. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are family members that we just did a memorial last year. 224 did a big memorial service, and some of the 12 Marines that we lost, their pictures were out, and their family actually were. We keep the family close, so they have needs that we can attend to. If you need me to come and cut your grass, because your husband can no longer do it because he passed away, and that your husband was my brother in arm, I'll be at your house in a heartbeat cutting your grass, because that's what Marines do. We take care of each other, whether we're dead or alive. We take care of each other.
Did you join any veterans organizations?
I did a VFW, Veteran of Foreign War. My membership, I'm not too active in it because I'm busy with other things, but that's one thing that I joined. And now I'm trying to join the American Disabled Veteran. So that's the next thing I'm going to join next.
And are you studying right now?
In school?
Are you studying?
Am I studying?
Mm-hmm.
In school, you mean? Yes. Oh, right now I've completed my second year of graduate school. Next year, of spring of 2014, I should be graduating with my master's.
And master's for?
I'm getting a Master of Fine Art in Interdisciplinary Art and Media.
Have you guys came up with any reunions?
They said there was this big battalion reunion they were coming up with, but I've served with so many different units. So whenever I get the email, I've served with a unit in 124 in Michigan. I've served with 224 in Chicago. So basically, whatever the union is, they set it up. I always show up. I always go because it's nice to see the old faces again, to see what they are doing with their life. If they got everything back in control, or if they are back in school. So I go to the reunions. I don't know if anyone is coming up anytime soon, but mostly it's around Marine Week or Veterans, Veterans Day. There's a lot of reunions that we always go to. Last year, none so far.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview yet?
Well, the thing I would like to add is to serve, everyone should serve, whether it's their community or it's the Peace Corps, or whether it's working with youth in your environment. Everyone should do something. Service is something that we all as Americans, we all should do. It don't have to be joining the military. It could be a different kind of service. But to give your time back to the community, to me, I think it's imperative because it makes a better society. And I also think that education, I personally, when I came to America, I was about 17 and a half years old. I couldn't read and write. I went to high school. I started high school at literally 18 years old. They put me in 10th grade. And I graduated with high school. I didn't want to take a GED because I felt it's a shortcut way out. I scored very horrible on my ACT. I scored 14 points. I mean, that wouldn't get you in any college. So I went to a community college. I remember taking ESL English 98, 99, 101. But persistent, I went on, graduated with 60 credit hours. I always loved cinema. I always loved film. So I went to Columbia, and I got my first undergraduate degree in film and video production. Then from there, I went to Northeastern. Well, if you live in a different land, you must understand the law of that land. So I got a second bachelor's degree in justice study and law. And now I'm working on a master's. But I think that service to our community and to one another, whether it's to your neighbors or to fire department, volunteering your time is very imperative. And education is also very good because it makes you a better human being in society. So that's all I have to add.
Oh, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Martinez, for having me. Thank you.